Board members Bill Kennedy and Bill Taylor. We have Town Administrator McStay over here and Assistant to the Town Administrator Ellie Kreutz taking minutes for us this evening. Are we on the air?
We should be.
We're probably on the air. So be careful what you say. And of course, whoever would like to speak, we'd love to hear from you. Just state your name for the record. Tonight's agenda. We're going to start a public hearing shortly to accept some gifts from the Lions Club and the Bocelli Ames family. Then we'll discuss Community Power Task Force, their CPCNH joint power agreement. Some new business. We'll argue over consideration of proposed services agreement with Bartlett Associates. Probably vote to request expenditures in the trust funds. Those include the landfill, pollution abatement, bridge restoration, and library renovation project funds. Also vote to overturn the FY 2022 sewer budget. That's interesting.
Overrun.
Overrun, yeah.
Overrun, not overturn. Sorry.
Which is still interesting in a geeky sort of way.
And then we'll appoint Doug Ward and Karen Kambol to the Heritage Commission. Awesome. Excellent. So, anybody here from the Lions Club to re-gift us with their bench they gave us a month ago?
No, so it's just a matter of opening the public hearing, hearing any comment if there is any, closing the public hearing, and then making a vote to accept.
Excellent. I will open the public hearing regarding a bench from the Lions Club, and can we do them together?
Absolutely.
And the donation from the Bocelli Ames family for Bocelli Gardens. So, do I have to read that?
No.
Excellent. So it's a very kind gift, $2,000 towards Bocelli Garden. Of course, we all love the gardens in town and the garden committee that works on all those wonderful people. Anybody like to make a comment or object to our acceptance of this gift?
Where is the Bocelli Garden?
That's a little garden that's right next to the Coast and Bean Brewery.
They're just down at the river. It's a
Yeah.
nice spot. And beautifully done. I understand the bench is going to be placed along the common path.
As soon as we find a good spot for it.
This very bench sits in the hallway, right?
Yes, that's it, yep.
And apparently we've got another one on order.
We'll be able to make more benches than we'll need.
Well, as I age, they become more and more practical.
Good for folks like me.
Exactly.
All right, any further discussion or nays? All right, I'd make a motion that we accept those gifts.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Keep them coming. Anybody who's watching, keep giving the town gifts. We will. Monetary ones.
Don't forget to close that public meeting. Probably very important.
This is
Close
moment.
that.
Sure, you can make the motion.
I make a motion that we close that public hearing. Seconded.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, now here's the meat of the meeting right here. All right, we've been discussing about local power and what we can do to.
Yep, and I just as soon turn it right over to the experts.
Great, welcome. Who will be speaking to?
I'm Joel Huberman. I'm the co-chair of the Community Power Task Force. Tony Cassidy here is, I don't want to stand there. Tony Cassidy is the other co-chair. Other members who are in attendance are Ed Youngst, Dory Drockman, and alternate member Bruce Tucker. So the issue of joining the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire has been one that we've been considering for a long time, almost since we started meeting back in September of 2021. Joining that coalition offers several advantages to our task force and to the town of Peterborough. And some of those advantages are listed up there. The first advantage, streamlining the process for authorizing a community power program locally, is one we're not taking advantage of. we decided early on to not accept help from any of the 3 organizations that were offering to help us, we accepted help from all of them, actually, but we wanted to make the decisions ourselves. We wanted to go carefully through the advantages and disadvantages offered by every one of the 3 organizations. And we continue to do that. By becoming a member now, Peterborough will be able to share services and staff support with other cities, towns, and counties. That's an advantage. Even if we decide not to go with the coalition for provision of electric power, that's still an advantage. Participating in joint power solicitations and local project development opportunities would be an advantage only if we decide to go with the coalition, because I believe that the alternative service providers, Standard Power and Freedom Energy Logistics, also offer similar advantages. What really motivates us is sharing knowledge and collaborating regionally on clean energy and resilient infrastructure development. Whether we use the coalition for providing power, we can still get good ideas from them. And it would seem foolish not to take advantage of those good ideas. The other really important advantage, I think, is that by joining the coalition, we add Peterborough's voice to that of the other towns, communities in the coalition, so that we can all speak with one loud, powerful voice at the legislature and PUC and in the governor's office on public advocacy issues related to energy and community power. So those are the reasons why we're recommending that Peterborough join the coalition at this time. Summarized further down in this document, we feel that by joining at this time, our joining will help us further educate ourselves about the electrical power market in New Hampshire, will allow us to support the coalition with its mission to foster resilient New Hampshire communities by empowering them to realize their energy goals, and will give Peterborough a stronger voice in advocating for effective electrical power policies at the state level. And we want to emphasize that joining the coalition at this time will not involve any financial obligation to the town and will not commit Peterborough to use the coalition as the electrical service provider for its community power program. The issue of service provider, as I've said, is one we're still working on and will continue to work on. We have provided some motions that you might want to consider, but you should not feel obligated to use those motions. Use any motions you want, in any sense you want. I think that this might be a good time for me, on behalf of the task force, to ask if you have any questions. There are many of us here who are eager to attempt to answer them if you have questions.
I was wondering, 19 municipalities, how many are there in the state of New Hampshire?
300 and something.
Small 19.
It's a
Small,
small
it's
number
small.
in terms of the total number of municipalities. But that number includes some important municipalities, such as
Nashua.
Portsmouth, which joined most recently.
I think Nashua, didn't they?
Nashua, and locally, Cheshire County.
Is there a start and end date to this? I mean, is it a year that you join for? Is it permanent? Can you cancel at any time?
There are no fixed start and end dates.
Okay.
I think I'm not sure when we would, whether Nicole's signature on the document would be the starting point, or whether there has to be some approval at CPCNH. I don't think there has to be any approval. I believe that Nicole's signature will be the starting point, and we can leave at any time.
So I reviewed this agreement about a year or so ago with town attorney, and he actually, working with one of the other communities that he represents, helped to negotiate this original agreement. And he said it obligates the town to do absolutely nothing except appoint the representatives to the coalition.
That representative's responsibilities are?
Being, at this relatively early point in the coalition's existence, one of the two appointed representatives will serve as a director, as a member of the board of directors of CPCNH. And that board will be what sets overall policy for CPCNH. The other appointee is considered to be an alternate. That is, as I understand it, the alternate doesn't need to serve at all unless the primary appointee can't serve, in which case the alternate would serve in the primary appointee's place. However, not only the two appointed representatives, but other volunteers from Peterborough, once Peterborough becomes a member, other volunteers from Peterborough, for example, members of our task force, could serve on coalition committees. Serving on coalition committees would be in addition to serving on the board of directors. The board of directors is a primary responsibility. Serving on committees is a, I don't think it's a requirement, but it's encouraged. And I would certainly encourage it because it's, I think through the committee work, then one would learn about the nitty-gritty aspects of electrical power in New Hampshire. Both purchasing and distribution, you know, all the ways in which it needs to be considered.
And if I can just add, the board of directors, there will be 21 directors for CPCNH, one from each member municipality. So currently there are 19. With Peterborough joining now, we get one of those seats, and we get to put someone in one of those seats. If we waited and there were already 21, then we would not get someone on the board of directors unless they got elected in a follow-up year when they get reelected.
So just 20 or 21 people are gonna hammer out all these details real quick for a monthly meeting? Sounds like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So this is where I saw Peterborough residents. It may not have been in the ordinance anywhere. That's what stuck in my mind, so.
Ah, okay, yes, that's our fault. This is our document. It has
Right,
no
so, okay.
no legal bearing whatever.
Great. So it may not even
Yeah.
apply in the
Yeah.
ordinance itself. Okay, great.
Still go through and review it just to make sure.
So briefly, Nicole, we're already part of a group of people for buying power or electricity,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Does this have any effect on that?
No, not at this point. What will happen eventually is the town will be getting this program up and running. And then at that point, we'll put it out to bid. You'll have to put it out to
Yeah.
bid. And to figure out who the service provider, the electricity provider is gonna be. And at that point, you know, the town will also have the opportunity to decide whether it wants to purchase municipal energy from this program, or if we want to continue with our existing supplier.
And the task force, of course, will make their recommendations based upon fairly lengthy conversations that they've been having with the various and ongoing, so.
So Danica said that she was okay, we're proposing that she be the alternate.
Yeah, she was okay with it.
All right.
She was
I just
actually
wanna
looking
make sure
forward to
we're
Yeah.
it,
growing
because she
a
was
lot
looking
more.
forward to what other communities are doing.
Yeah, she thought it was an interesting thing to be involved in, so,
Oh, that's off for it.
yeah, exactly.
And where is
Already
Eversource?
does a lot.
Where's Eversource in all of this? are they in support of this kind of thing? Are they trying to kill it? Are they?
They're, I think, largely neutral. Their income will not be affected by this because the electricity that we receive in Peterborough, whether it's provided by the coalition or any other source, will flow through Eversource's wires. Eversource will continue to get its distribution and transmission charge. Eversource will also be responsible for sending out bills. If any of you are already getting a bill from Eversource where you're not using Eversource as the default provider, you'll see in the electrical supply portion of that bill, you'll see the name of your competitive supplier. In this case, you'll see the name of whatever name we're going to end up with, probably something
Peterborough
like
Community Power.
Peterborough
Yeah.
Community Power.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, is that the community power program that the town wants to adopt will replace Eversource as the default unless you opt out of that. So yes, they will lose some revenues because of that transition. No?
They don't get revenue from selling electricity. They get,
Oh, that's right, they don't.
It's
Yeah.
From
deregulated.
They
producing
don't
it.
generate it.
Yeah.
They only get it from distributing it.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
I
transmitting.
think that was part of a law that was passed some time back.
Yes, the deregulation. It's
Yes.
Right.
decoupled. And then they shut down their power generation over successive years.
Okay. It's interesting to note that in our survey, in the task force survey, vast majority of people who responded were using Eversource as their default. And it's one of the more expensive sources of electricity.
no. I think the last time I looked, which was probably about 8 months ago, the cheapest, Eversource was offering a rate that was lower than any of the competitive energy suppliers.
That didn't last very long because
No.
Not on my bill, it didn't.
It has to,
I changed suppliers
with timing,
about in the
timing.
March, May
Yeah.
time period, and I
Yeah.
got a much better deal than
Yeah.
what Eversource was offering. But anyway.
Right.
Any questions? No.
Actually, I was just going to say something about your question about Eversource being supportive. There was supposed to be rules done at the Public Utility Commission today. We were hopeful for community power rules, and we don't know why the commission decided this morning to cancel the hearing and delay it till the 27th. So Eversource has always been a tricky player, but there is a path forward, and hopefully we get some insight before the next hearing about how the data handling will happen and how these programs will move forward. And can I just address so when I saw you were going to pass the JPA, I wanted to look at it again, and it is different on the CPCNH website. There's the original one, and then there's the updated one, and it's substantially longer. So it sounds like nobody's really familiar with the current document, so I just really recommend it. At 57 pages, it is,
No,
it's
absolutely.
a substantial document. I know that it doesn't require the town to do anything, but, maybe miss out on that.
No, we'll go through it again.
Yeah.
Just make absolutely sure.
The document that we supplied to you, and I think again recently, had the long version. It had the
Yeah.
joint powers
It's very
agreement,
long.
it had the bylaws, and there was a third section, I forget what that
Yeah.
was.
It was the most recent document as evidenced by Portsmouth being a signatory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They signed it, and it's right here on the front. So City of Portsmouth signed it on April 21st, so this must be effective as of the end of April. So I'll definitely go through it again and double check. I mean, I know that additional pages, there was an addendum that was added on. When I was looking through it, I could see that, but it didn't seem to obligate the town to do anything. So And of course, every signature page adds on an additional page to it, so.
Well, all we're doing here tonight is authorizing you to sign on our behalf
Exactly.
beyond further review.
Right, so if you like, what I can do is just run it past John Radigan again, make sure that there's nothing substantial in those changes. And then if it's okay, sign off on it. If he sees something that jumps out at him, or if I see something that jumps out at me, we'll come back to the board and say, want to take a look at this.
That sounds reasonable.
This is authorizing
Nicole to sign or not sign.
to enter into, not just sign, not just sign, but enter.
We'll enter into the agreement.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. On behalf of the town.
Dory had something to say, I saw your hand up.
It was about Eversource, and they did once try to scuttle community power about a year and a half ago. And it was a huge effort to work with the committee and then with the full legislature to bring back most of, or actually all of the most important pieces of the law. They were proposing a law that would have basically gutted it. And so, and a lot of it was because of the folks who, like Clifton Below, who is both part of CPCNH, but also helped to, or actually wrote the law. And so it was able to be kind of recovered because of a group effort with all of the stakeholders, including the brokers, to make it so that we can move forward with it
It was
today.
Clifton, when he was in the legislature, who was working with Bradley, right, at the time, to write this law.
Actually, that was, I think, the law to decouple. That was in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, that was the part where we no longer, where the utilities no longer,
Generated by.
yes. So that happened beforehand,
That's right.
and then this happened way later.
Interesting history.
Any concern of this whole thing being knocked out with the way the Supreme Court's, they're knocking down EPA regulation type things. They're heading in a direction that seems to be backwards.
This is state law, so they don't have any power to
The
go on
lobbyists
state
are
law.
very influential up at the state level, aren't they?
This
This
isn't
is-
really regulation, though.
Yeah.
No, this is just a bunch of towns.
This
But
is
it's clean
competition.
energy, which is a scary thing for these oil. All right.
Well, if you'd like to consider this, I'd certainly, the first motion is great. The further moved, I think you should leave that off until we settle the issue of whether or not Danica can be a member. But you would certainly appoint, the members at a later date.
Fair enough.
They Need to be notified immediately, so.
When would Danica be able to be a member?
She's not a Peterborough resident, so I'm not entirely sure if she can represent the town or not. So we just need to establish that.
Surprised otherwise.
That shouldn't be something they care about.
All right, I'd make the motion that we authorize Town Administrator Nicole McStay to enter into an intermunicipal agreement known as the Joint Powers Agreement under the provisions of New Hampshire RSA 53-A to create the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire, parentheses CPCNH, for the purpose of supporting member municipalities and counties in developing and implementing electric aggregation plans pursuant to RSA 53-E, as well as related statutory authorities.
A second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. And then, like Nicole mentioned, we'll wait on appointing directors.
And make it there beyond further.
I think we're pretty solid with Steve Walker as being,
Absolutely.
Sure.
I'm surprised he wants more to do.
That's why we have an alternate, Bill.
Well, we did discuss that with him at our last meeting, because we all probably wondered about that, and he was adamant that he wants to do it, he'll make the time to do it, which was, for all of us, I believe, very good news.
Can't be bad for him anyways, his endeavors.
That's true.
Yeah.
True. But he does have a passion for the topic as well.
Would it be appropriate to appoint him tonight?
You can if you like, or you can wait and do it at the next meeting. I don't think it really matters one way or the other.
You could get started tomorrow.
Well, that's the thing, if you can sign that JPA sometime in the next couple of weeks after reviewing it and so on, it would be good to have a director in place.
Yeah.
So I will nominate Steve Walker to be director for the town of Peterborough on the CPCNH board.
How's that, Matt?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, great.
We'll fill
Get 'em while you
the
got the
position.
Right.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the continued work. We're getting closer.
Thanks to all of you for listening to us and carefully considering our proposal and coming up with some good questions about it. Thank you.
They only have to listen to you at this meeting. I, of course. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, you guys are doing a great job. It's really terrific. What you've put together is really amazing to me.
It's a ton of work. I don't think that's lost on anybody here. It's a ton.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
When's the next meeting, by the way?
Tomorrow.
What?
Yeah, our
9 a.m.
next task force meeting is indeed tomorrow at 4 PM. And I have not yet sent a agenda because
I was gonna say, I don't think I posted an agenda for that.
and that's because I've been on vacation and so on and so forth. But I will send an agenda tonight and you can post it tomorrow morning before the meeting takes place tomorrow afternoon. And that's probably not according to the letter of the
24-hour
law.
notice.
Pardon?
24-hour notice. But-
Oh, we're too late for that. Is somebody going to slap us on the wrist?
I think you can meet, just as long as you don't
We just don't
discuss
vote on
anything.
anything.
Don't
vote on
discuss anything?
Don't discuss anything you're gonna vote on. Yeah,
We've been doing a lot of that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of things to discuss.
Yeah, we do have a lot of things to discuss.
We still have a meeting.
No official actions, okay, good. But please, Ollie, when you have the chance, and after I've sent the agenda, please do post it even if it's not soon enough.
I will post it.
Thank you.
And I will be at the meeting. I thought I wasn't going to be able to.
You want anything anybody's gonna
Delayed the show. Lost.
Great.
All right, up next.
That would be tragic if somehow this whole community power thing gets trashed.
Yeah, that would
The
be-
amount of time and energy put into this would be tragic. I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not gonna happen.
I think there's too much momentum, and with a couple of big cities in it now, and I don't know if Exeter, I think Exeter,
Yeah.
Exeter was one of the first signers. I
Yeah.
think.
Dover.
you know.
Newmarket, and a couple of others, yeah.
Lebanon?
All righty.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you all
Thank you.
very much.
See you later. See you tomorrow.
All right, see you then.
Unofficial.
I'll see if we'll stay for a couple of other agenda items. I'm just curious.
Does anybody remember Rodney Bartlett?
Who?
Yes.
He was the former town administrator here.
Used to work here.
Still at Dunfell still.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, he's looking to do some more work for the town.
Field's looking to continue to work for the town.
Right.
This is his proposal. It's very open-ended because we really couldn't describe the work he'd be doing other than essentially consulting for us.
Let's see.
Primarily on the Coldstone Springs project, which we still occasionally go to him for advice. review, ask him to join meetings, and of course, if anything were to come up with drinking water, groundwater trust fund again, we'd probably tap him on the shoulder, and that's going to be representatives for that.
Roughly how many hours a week, month is he working?
At this point, there's not a lot of work that he's doing right now, unless we have a question, you pick his brain for something. So it'd just be a couple hours here and there. I could see potentially as we get closer to a final design, there will be some review involved in that, so there'll be some hours in that. But it's what he's suggesting, $75 an hour is certainly reasonable. It's better than what he's offering to the state of New Hampshire for his services. His contract with them is going to the governor and council, so it's nice of him to give us a little bit of a break. We've certainly got the funds in the water department revolving fund to cover this, so no concerns there.
Well, I move that we allow Nicole to sign that agreement.
Great. Any comments about that?
No, I think he did a great job with all the projects he was involved with, so.
Yeah, it's good to have them as a resource, no question about it.
And I think that's a reasonable rate too.
Back in the
what I
day when we used
understand.
Back in the day when we used to have them, the Rolodex, he's got one of the biggest Rolodexes available.
Yep.
So.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Nice to see after just this short amount of time that he's moved all the way up to the role of president.
I think he's vice president too, though, isn't he?
I don't know, but CFO's got Linda, I would think.
He probably.
I would hope.
All right.
What's the next on the agenda or the one after? I can't remember.
This is next.
Okay.
Move to request expenditures from the trust funds.
So it's pretty straightforward. We're looking to pull an additional $3,969.70 from the Landfill Pollution Abatement Fund for the water testing that was performed by Geo Insight and Absolute Resources. That's for our groundwater monitoring of one of the landfills. I think it was a Scott Mitchell landfill.
This was already budgeted, right?
It is.
Just in a trust fund so that we have to authorize.
We have to
it.
authorize
Yes.
use, right?
Exactly, so. And then the other two, $116,728.73 from the Bridge Restoration Fund for the July bond payment and $220,434.95 from the Library Renovation Project Fund for the July bond payment. So these will be, and that will finish off the Library Renovation Project Fund. You may recall that we had budgeted a couple of years ago bond payments in anticipation of pulling the bonds. Things got delayed by, a little pandemic. So when the project didn't get started at, the time that we were expecting, we didn't pull the bond in the time frame that we were expecting. So we parked those funds in the trust funds,
Right.
so they would be available to us and not just go to the fund balance. So we've got a bond now, we've got payments now, and we've got a general fund balance that we'd like to rebuild again. So we think it's a good time to pull these funds out.
Now, it wasn't maybe last meeting where the library representatives were here
Yep.
gifting the town money back from their
Yep.
fund balance, I guess?
Yes.
Did that go into the trust fund already? Or
No.
that went into our general fund with the stipulation it had to be used towards the bond payment?
Exactly, so into the general fund, it'll be used towards the next bond payment.
Gotcha.
So.
Excellent. All right, I'd make a motion that we approve these expenditures from the trust funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
For 4 here, overrun the sewer budget.
We have, and unfortunately, it was unavoidable. So we had a number of things come up this past fiscal year. One of the first things is we had 2 pumps fail, and they had to be fully rebuilt. And that cost about $25,000. We also had, this was good news. We found that We had higher than allowed lead levels in our effluent. As you may recall, that's the water that goes from the wastewater treatment plant to the Kentucky River. Those lead levels, though minute, were still above the EPA's permit, discharge permit that we were granted. So working with, I believe it was Underwood, they were able to find a method of treating that water before it went out that would reduce the lead level so that it was below the permit level, which is amazing, but required the purchase of ferric, a new chemical, and that cost about $37,000 for the year.
Now, may I ask where that lead's coming from? Is it from people or from pipes or from things people are dumping down?
Probably pipes, a lot of old homes, and so there's going to still be lead in old buildings here and there.
In the drain?
It could be going, it could be in the water pipes after it's come in and gone through the house, and then, or going out through the sewer line back out to the town system. But yeah, there's definitely still lead.
About anywhere.
Yeah,
The soldering agents that they use for lots of the plumbing in old houses.
exactly. Yeah. And no one likes to replace sewer pipes, so I'm sure that a lot of those, waste pipes going out people's houses before they get to the street, probably the original ones that were put in. I know the one in my house is. Also, sludge disposal. We have to have, after it's been treated, sludge has to be hauled off site to be properly disposed of. The costs, because there is only one vendor, so whatever he wants to charge is what we pay.
It's a monopoly.
It is a monopoly.
Sludge monopoly.
Yes, it's a good thing to get into if you can stand it. We overspent that line by $22,000 this year. Nonetheless, you add all of those things up, and with Nate being as careful as he is with his budget, we're only asking right now, and we still have some bills to run through, but right now is only overspent by $16,406, which is pretty amazing. So I'm not going to actually ask you to vote on this tonight, because we do still have some more bills to run through, but I don't think that we're going to even get to $30,000, which is pretty amazing. Nate does a really great job. And just for your reference, the fund balance currently is $1.9 million. So there's plenty of money in the fund balance to cover these over expenditures. And as it is a revolving type fund, you have full discretion to use that fund balance at any time.
Where are we with carting off the bags of sludge from the old?
We are nowhere yet. That is something that we're not being required to do anything yet. We know it's going to be tremendously expensive when we do get to it. So they're still sitting there on site.
I was just out there last week. They look rather benign. It would be nice to get
It
there.
would shock a little bit.
Yep, they've dewatered quite a lot.
I have a could I ask a question
Yeah,
about
please.
that? You're talking about the old lagoons, the other lagoons up there?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I think that, I happened to see them once, and I remember how much solar we were able to put in that first one. I mean, wouldn't that be a good place if we ever got community power going and we wanted to do something to create our own solar, big solar in the town, which you can,
Community solar,
which you
right.
can do. That would be maybe a perfect spot for it.
I've got a better spot than that, actually, yes.
Okay, good.
The best spot is the one that I've actually tried to get a grant for before, actually two of them, which is the closed landfill right behind EMS.
Oh, yeah.
The town owns that property. It's right on the highway, right across the street from two schools. There's the business area, and of course, you've got the apartments in either direction. So there's places where that electricity would be immediately utilized. There wouldn't be a lot of transmission loss at all. So that would be a great spot for one. The challenge with the two lagoons that are left is that they are right at river level, and so as fast as you try to empty them, they refill with water. So, but we're under no order or obligation to close those lagoons, so we're just kind of letting them naturally return to a wetland state.
Okay, so we're on to vote on that then.
No, not at all. So I'll
Just
come
here.
back with a final number at your August meeting. by how much we need to overspend by. But Lily felt pretty confident that we are getting pretty close to the final numbers.
So we're not planning another July select board meeting,
No,
and one in August, we do have that session.
one in August. I'm hoping to keep that going through October with the meetings.
Well,
Yeah.
all right.
Motion seconded.
I mean, I feel like I got to knock on wood because it's, you know.
Since my vote to move the meetings to Wednesdays fell on my face.
All right, well, I make a motion to appoint Doug and Karen, Doug Ward, Karen Kambol to the Heritage Commission again. They've worked with them for years, they do great work, and, you know, they're assets, great volunteers.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything new, anything else happening? Okay. Let's do adjourn.
So moved.
Nice. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ed. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Ed.
Good to see you all.
Huh, isn't that weird? There's not a lot of people at the meeting tonight.
I had a question for you, personal question.
Uh-oh.
You have that new provider for internet where
Yeah.
you live?
Yep,
Is it good?
it's unbelievable.
I love it.
Well, first of all,
By contrast.
my internet was the equivalent of soup cans.
Yeah, no, I
and
know.
straws.
Yours was-
I had Comcast